Lotus Ventures Inc. is a BC-based medical marijuana company poised to launch into the rapidly evolving cannabis sector. Lotus is in the final review stage of the Health Canada approvals to become a licensed producer, having arranged facility financing of up to $12 million, plus building permits for its prototype indoor production facility. Shares trade under the symbol J on the Canadian Securities Exchange. Visit our website at lotusventures.ca.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is David Chesney, White Rock City Councillor and editor of the White Rock Sun. Welcome back to the show, David.
Always nice to be with you, Jim.
What happened at your community meeting on Saturday?
Well, for those that are not aware, for the past 2 years since being elected, I've hosted community conversations because I thought it was interesting or necessary or should be a situation where people in a very relaxed environment can sit and talk to elected officials of the city. Of course, all of the council can't turn up because by law, there can't be a quorum of council even in a bar or at a barbecue, which means 4 or more would make a quorum because we have a council with the mayor of 7. But I've invited all the members of council. Councillor Helen Fathers does drop in periodically. She did drop by again on Saturday. So that was the reason for having these community conversations, and not only to speak with an elected official, but also to engage in conversation with each other, and that was a very robust conversation this past weekend, that a lot of the members of the people that turned up ended up talking amongst themselves and having some intelligent conversation about issues that they had on the top of their mind in White Rock. So it was a good meeting. It's always a good meeting. It's always the quality and not the quantity that I judge the success of it.
What topics came up?
Well, obviously the much publicized 2 issues. One of them being that a resident here in White Rock filed a Freedom of Information request, which the city turned down. This was pertaining to a meeting in 2013. Prior to me being on council, the resident felt that the council of the day did not have the right to go in camera to discuss the impending sale of or purchase of the water system here in White Rock. And quite often these FOIs are turned down, but in this case it was actually the Freedom of Information officer did issue a judgment that she felt that the city of White Rock did in fact break the community charter rules of having this meeting. So that's still, the city's now taken the stance that our solicitor is going to review and decide whether or not we will release that information. The city's stance generally right now is that in the fact that we're still in negotiations with EPCOR to purchase the water back, that possibly there is information that was divulged at that meeting that could hamper the purchase price. So we'll see. The city has 30 days, so I would think within the next 2 weeks, week to 2 weeks, the city will make their feelings known. From what I understand, there's never been a case in British Columbia where the Privacy Commissioner has issued an edict and it was denied by the city. So I have no idea whether or not, as I say, it's in the solicitor's hands now, and we'll see what they come back with to the city, whether or not our solicitor agrees that we would be compromising the sale by discussing that matter.
And the other issue that came up?
Well, the other issue is our water here in White Rock. There was a directive issued the last council meeting a couple of weeks ago where city staff brought forward a report that they were going to start to add ammonia to our one of our 2 major wells, and by adding ammonia to the existing chlorine, the hot button issue is chloramine, which the council unanimously voted against last year, not only due to the community's concern about chloramine, but there is a lot of literature out there that does support that the use of chloramine, even though it's used in hundreds of water systems across North America, millions of people are drinking water with chloramine on a daily basis, but yet there still is the line of thinking that chloramine can, over a long period of time, and especially in infants, cause some health issues.
So, do you have chloramine in your water, or you're going to add it, or you're not going to add it?
Well, this came out as well at the original time that the council said no chloramine. It was not clearly identified in my mind, but it was brought forward at this last meeting that the staff said, I don't know why you're concerned about chloramine, because one of our major wells, the Merklin well, has ammonia which occurs naturally, so half of the city of White Rock has been drinking water treated with chloramine for years. So that came as a bit of a thump in the laps of everybody on council. So, you know, at the end of the day, my main concern about this, I hope that we arrive at the situation. We're building a new arsenic manganese treatment plant, which the federal government has given us $13 million to do. We're also building a new chlorine treatment plant, and I'm hopeful, it's just a personal observation on my part, that once we have all of these new builds in place, we will be able to remove the ammonia and strictly have our water treated with chlorine. I'm hopeful that it's not a long-range plan of chloramine in our water.
Right. So, are you adding chloramine now or plan to?
Well, chloramine as such, we've always had chloramine in both of our, or chlorine in both of our wells. But as I stated, it was brought forward by staff in this report is that you shouldn't be concerned about chloramine because half of the city has been getting chloramine water because of ammonia occurring naturally in the one well. In the other well, the Oxford Street well, they now plan to add ammonia to it. So when ammonia is added to chlorine, then you have chloramine. So to recap that, half of the city, according to staff, has been drinking chloramine for years, and now they're going to put the ammonia in the other well, so all of the water in White Rock will, in fact, have chloramine.
Now, is this a permanent situation? And what about the arsenic and manganese that's also in the White Rock?
Well, that's what that $13.8 million or $13 million treatment plant is, to lower the levels of arsenic and manganese that occur naturally in our aquifer.
Right. Now, why would you want ammonia in your water?
Well, to be very honest, how it's been
that's Mr.
presented
Clean
to us in this report, chlorine dissipates very quickly. Chloramine, the mixture of ammonia and chlorine together, chloramine will last much longer in the system. Therefore, that secondary water treatment proving to be more effective. And at the end of the day, my main goal is to have the best drinking water in White Rock, and the last thing I want anybody, staff or this council, to do is to even nudge up dangerously close to where we could have a major health problem in our community by not treating that water properly.
Right. Now, I know chloramine is not good for pets or fish. It'll kill them. Why would humans want to drink it? Do you have an alternative? Why couldn't you just have chlorinated water without that?
Well, this is the reason that many of the cities have adopted the chloramine, is because it's one line of thinking is it's a much better way to have a secondary water treatment. But on that subject of killing fish, I've read, if you were to Google chloramine, you'd be reading documents until we talk again in a month. But one of the things that is identified that I'm having a little bit of difficulty wrapping my head around is when we had that major fire last year at Five Corners, hundreds of thousands of gallons of water were used to fight that fire, which ran into the storm sewers and directly into Semiahmoo Bay. To the best of my knowledge, there has never been any documented proof that there was a major fish kill or the crustaceans, the crabs, or anything like that suffered any kind of damage. So I'm wondering about the statement. I know they say that if you have an aquarium and there is chloramine in the water, your fish are going to die. Now, nobody in White Rock has ever indicated to City Hall or to staff, to the best of my knowledge, that that has occurred in their home. But I do know that the amount of water, for 16 hours, we poured hundreds of thousands of gallons of water onto that fire, which would have invariably soaked into the ground or run down the street into the storm sewers and emptied straight into Semiahmoo Bay, seemingly with no negative effect at all on the sea life.
At the same time, didn't White Rock have to hook into Surrey's water system to back up the firefighters?
Well, for the Peace Arch Hospital, they had to throw the switch up there to a couple of the floors in the top of the hospital didn't have enough water pressure. So, yes, we had an emergency hookup, smaller pipes, not enough to supply the whole city. But we certainly quickly opened those pipes up to make sure that the hospital had water, and any excess that we didn't need for the hospital actually went into our reservoir, but it was marginal at best.
Could White Rock just hook into Surrey's water system?
Well, we could hook into the GVRD, and that was the aforementioned meeting in 2013. Since I've been elected, it was public information that, it would have been $17 million to hook up to the GVRD water system. There'd have to be a new reservoir built in the Sunnyside area of South Surrey to supply White Rock with the GVRD water. And the GVRD water system has been massively improved over the last 5 years. There's a big new tunnel that they ran underneath the Portman Bridge to serve south of the Frasers. So at the time, the $16 million price tag of hooking into the GVRD, coupled with God knows what it would have cost for us to buy from EPCOR, because we still would have had to have purchased the whole infrastructure and all the piping in the ground from EPCOR, which would have been in the tens of millions. So the numbers presented stated clearly that we would be better off at the time. The decision was made to keep our water system, bring it back from EPCOR, and basically have our own source of water supply in perpetuity.
We'll have more with David Chesney right after the break.
I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario. With grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold, a drill program will commence this spring to test the numerous targets located by recent groundwork. For more information, visit our website, rmroyalty.com.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with David Chesney. David, have you had any reports of people complaining about rashes or respiratory problems they think might be connected to the water supply in White Rock?
I haven't personally heard of any respiratory, but I have heard anecdotal information from people that feel that they have broken out in rash or had some kind of reaction that they feel may be because of the addition of chloramine into the water system. Nobody, any of the people that I've talked to, I said, have you been to see the doctor? Have you been to I don't think it's a dermatologist that would make that assertion, but have you had a sample taken of this, and can you clearly identify that this is caused by the chloramine in the water? The people that I've spoken to have not proceeded with that to this point in time. It could be the canary, the proverbial canary in the coal mine, very isolated at this case, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be looking into the matter, which I've forwarded this information on to staff, and we'll follow this and closely monitor it.
So what do you think the cost of getting an independent water system running to your standards, how much would that cost?
Well, to date, we've put a $14 million down payment to EPCOR, And now we're going to go into the final stages of our negotiations. So I couldn't even venture a guess, Jim. It would be impossible to even throw a number out there. I can't even venture a guess, but we'll have to wait and see when the negotiations are finalized and both parties agree on the end purchase price of what that amount is going to be, which hopefully will be done before this year is over.
Right. So 16, 17 million to hook up to the Surrey water supply. And we don't know how much it's going to cost for White Rock to stay independent.
Well, we don't know on top of that $16 million to hook into the GVRD what we would have had to have paid EPCOR for the existing infrastructure in the city. That would definitely be in the millions, and how many millions, I've never seen that price tag put on that. But it would be in the tens of millions, there's no doubt about that.
Right, so this new plant's going to get rid of the arsenic, the manganese?
That's correct. Well, it'll bring it into the levels below what Health Canada has dictated allowable levels of arsenic and manganese. I don't know that we will ever 100% remove all of the arsenic and manganese, but it'll be very marginal and well within the Health Canada regulations.
How hard is it to filter chloramine out of your water if you wanted to do it at your house?
Well, it's not hard at all. I do know of a couple people that have, paid a couple $1,000s to have a filtration system attached to the front of their house where the water comes in to remove everything. So a couple $1,000s per household.
Well, that's not cheap. Do you think people might stop buying real estate in White Rock because they're concerned about the water?
I don't think so.
We'll have more with David Chesney right after this.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with David Chesney. David, was there any thought about using low-frequency ultraviolet light to purify your water?
I don't know that for sure that works with groundwater. It does work with surface water, but I don't believe that will work with groundwater. I don't think that was an option.
Right, because that's what they use at the Capilano watershed, right?
Yes, and that's surface water. That's not groundwater.
Is the difference the concentration of minerals?
I'm not sure what the exact reason is. I just know that it doesn't work for groundwater, as opposed to, it works fine with surface water. So I would assume the natural minerals that do occur, given the makeups, we have quite a clay-based soil here in White Rock when you go down. Conversely, Clearbrook, which draws from an aquifer, not exactly the same aquifer as we do, but our aquifer kind of runs all the way from here to Mount Baker. So Clearbrook's water just won an award as one of the best drinking waters in the world. So it is impacted by the soil quite obviously, and I think as a result of the makeup of the soil here in White Rock, it's not that there's anything leaching into our aquifer that's causing any outside source that's causing the aquifer to be high in arsenic and manganese, other than simply the soil makeup, from what I understand.
Should people in White Rock then be concerned about the quality of their drinking water?
Well, it's a difficult question to ask. I don't personally have any concerns. We have had problems, and one of the things in the staff report, we've been flushing out the water system and upgrading and doing everything we possibly can now that we've purchased the water. And some areas of White Rock, when we are flushing the pipes and that, have noticed a discoloration in water very close to where I live. People have shown pictures of very brown water that's coming out of their taps, yet I have a glass bottle that I fill up and sit on the counter, leaving the top off, just simply knowing that the chlorine will definitely dissipate, and that water has never been anything other than crystal clear. So it's been very spotty. In the staff report we received a couple of weeks back, one of the other reasons for adding chloramine is they said that when we mix the water of the two main wells, one with chlorine and one with chloramine, when the two mix, that causes the discoloration and rather light brown water coloration. So another reason why they felt that we would be better off to have chloramine coming out of both of the wells.
Any thoughts if you have chloramine to change in the future?
Sorry?
Any thoughts about in the future using a system that won't have chloramine in it?
Well, as I say, I'm hopeful that when we get the new chlorine treatment plant built and the arsenic and manganese plant built, we can work towards eliminating the chloramine. We may have to also have a look at some of the pipes in White Rock. Have been around for a number of years. There's been a buildup in those pipes of what is believed to be arsenic and manganese, and as a result of that, until we clean out and get new piping in those. So it's going to be a bit of a process. It's not going to happen overnight, but at the end of the day, I can only personally say I will continue to fight for nothing but chlorine in our water. But again, at the end of the day, 4 votes on council will make that decision.
Another issue in White Rock, the building of large towers or a large tower next to the hospital. How's that going?
Well, there's a 13-story high-rise planned adjacent to the hospital. It's outside of what the current official community plan would allow, but we're in the process of creating our new OCP, which again should be done within a couple of months. It doesn't fit into that OCP to the best of my knowledge. We haven't seen the final version, but again, as I say, 4 votes on council. Even doesn't matter what the official community plan stipulates. We've had a problem here in White Rock where the official community plan, in my humble opinion, has been trampled upon by 4 votes or more on council to simply say, yeah, sure, we'll do that. So even though people will look at the official community plan, and they'll say, well, how the heck are you building a 13-story high-rise that far away from the town center where the development is supposed to be centered? And I said, well, I voted against it. I will continue to follow the official community plan as I promised the pledge that I made to people in White Rock when I ran and was elected, and I will continue to do that. So one has to always remember that official community plan can be steamrolled right across with 4 votes.
Also, another issue, the big 10-lane bridge to replace the Massey Tunnel. What do people in White Rock think about that?
Well, I don't think there's not very many people in White Rock that have been talking about that, to be quite honest. I've kept abreast of it with some of my fellow councillors in Richmond, and there's a big pushback by a lot of Richmond council. Conversely, I was recently at a Metro Vancouver meeting and had breakfast with the council from Delta, and they're all in favor of it. Having traveled that route as many times as I did for 10 years, commuting back and forth to work in Vancouver, I'm having a hard time believing that it's going to relieve congestion. It might relieve some congestion to get across the Fraser River, but after that, you're funneling it all into a 2-lane bridge called the Oak Street Bridge. So the backups are going to be massive, yet the proponents of building the bridge, including the Liberal government, says that their studies have shown them 65% of the people that take Highway 99 through that tunnel end their journey in Richmond. I don't have hard numbers, but from personal experience, I kind of shake my head at that because I never saw a mass exodus of people leaving at Steveston Highway or Westminster Highway on the way into Vancouver. Certainly there was some traffic that left, but 65%? I haven't done a study. The study says 65% of the people don't go as far as the Oak Street Bridge, but even today, at any given rush hour in the morning, that Oak Street Bridge is backed up for hell and gone.
What about, I haven't seen anybody talk about White Rock getting rapid transit into Vancouver, either through the Surrey route or through the Richmond route.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Back in the early 2000s, Metro Vancouver did a long-range build-out, and Tsawwassen and White Rock were noted as two areas that should not be looking at density, and the fact that rapid transit, there was no expectation that rapid transit would be coming to either one of those communities anytime soon. And even the new talk about the extension out to UBC of the B line or a tunnel or a LRT or whatever they plan, and in Surrey the big plan is to run one down to Newton and run one out to Langley, but they've increased a couple of new buses down towards White Rock, but there's no plan to improve rapid transit out of White Rock into Vancouver anytime.
David, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Well, thank you very much for calling today, and have yourself a great day.
My guest has been David Chesney, White Rock City Councillor and editor of the White Rock Sun. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Questions for the show can be emailed to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.